Jean-Claude Camille François Van Warrenberg is a Belgian-born American actor and martial artist. Van Warrenberg was born 18 October 1960 year in the small town of St. Agatha-Berchem in Belgium. His dad ran his own business, a small flower shop. He met his future wife when a young girl came to work in his store as a flower seller. Over time, the working relationship developed into a romantic one, and the marriage was arranged. When the family had a child, my mother became a housewife, devoting all her time to her family and son. Dad almost completely immersed himself in work in order to fully provide for his family. Jean-Claude grew up a very sickly and weak child. Out of good intentions, his mother sends him to ballet school, and he studies classical ballet for several years. But the boy could not improve and strengthen his physical health. Besides, other yard children often humiliate and beat him. Because of this, the guy has low self-esteem and a lot of complexes. Tired of the constant bullying of his son by other teenagers, Jean-Claude's dad decides to stop ballet classes, as he considered it a female occupation. Instead, he takes the young man to a longtime friend who owns a small martial arts club to practice karate. The father really hoped that his son loved this sport. At first, the training was given to the young man with great difficulty, since he still had poor health. But thanks to long ballet classes, he was able to develop endurance, clarity of movement, dexterity, plasticity, and excellent muscle stretching. By practicing karate hard at the sports club, he was not only able to improve his physical and mental health, but also become one of the best in his group. In parallel with karate classes, the future athlete is engaged in bodybuilding in order for his body to be beautiful and pumped up. Over time, it manages to achieve the desired result. With a well-toned body, Jean-Claude manages to win prizes not only in sports competitions, but also in beauty contests. In 16 for many years, the young athlete was able to defeat in a duel an opponent who was much stronger and heavier than himself. In this regard, Jean-Claude decides to drop out of school and devote all his energy and time to sports. He did not even give in to his father's persuasions to return to school, as he earned decent money for that time with the help of fights and by and large did not depend on his parents. For all the time of playing sports, Jean-Claude was able to master not only karate, but also other types of confrontations, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Kung Fu and Taekwondo. In 1978, a year later, the young karateka receives a black belt in karate and begins to compete in professional competitions, and 2 years later, having won a fight with Dietrich Targilsa, he becomes the European champion. His collection of awards is complemented by a full-fledged European bodybuilding championship. At the age of 18, Jean-Claude, out of self-serving motives, married a much older rich heiress, Maria Rodriguez. With the help of her financial support, he is in 1979 during the year, he creates his own business. He opens a gym where he teaches bodybuilding and karate techniques. A big role in the advertising of the sports club was played by his famous name in the sports field. As soon as an athlete reaches high ranks and awards in a sports career, the sport becomes indifferent to him, and he decides to develop in a completely different field of activity. For a long time, wanting to act in films, he takes a risk. 1981 he sells his gym at 3 times the price, ends his marriage to his wife, and uses the proceeds from the sale of the business to conquer Hollywood. Arriving in Hollywood, the future actor realized that it would not be so easy to conquer the American film industry. In addition, he spoke poor English, and spoke with a strong accent, because of which they did not want to give him a role. For the first 4 years, Jean-Claude is unable to realize his dream, and so he has to improve his English skills. At the same time, he works part-time as a driver, courier, gives private karate lessons, and works in a carpet factory. Jean-Claude's second wife was Cynthia Derderian, the daughter of the director, from whom he temporarily earned money as a driver. This marriage lasted only a few months. During this time period, Van Warrenberg works part-time as a bouncer in one of Chuck Norris nightclubs. Over time, he begins to work for the famous actor as an assistant and gradually gets acquainted with the world of cinema. Satisfied with the quality of his work, Chuck Norris helped promote Jean-Claude as an actor. They begin to invite him to shoot films, and for the first time on TV screens he appears in a movie 1986 year Do Not Retreat, and do not give up in the role of Russian fighter Ivan Krashinsky. Since his real name Van Warrenburg was difficult to pronounce for English-speaking people, the young actor had to take the pseudonym Van Damme, which eventually brought him world fame and fame. At one of Chuck Norris' friendly events in 1986, the aspiring actor gets acquainted with the charming model and American bodybuilding champion Gladys Portuguez. Gladys was not only a good wife for him, but also a good friend, always striving to come to the rescue in difficult times and support in all matters. In marriage, the couple has 2 children, son Christopher and daughter Bianca. With the birth of her first child, Gladys retired from big-time sports and chose to devote herself entirely to her family and children. After the release of the first action film with the participation of a rising star, he began to receive offers to act in more expensive films. At the same time, Jean-Claude was confirmed for the role of an alien monster in the movie Predator. He was supposed to play with the already famous actor Arnold Schwarzenegger, but after staying on the set for only a short time, he was not able to get a job. However, Jean-Claude refuses to shoot in this film. There are several versions of the novice actor's refusal from this film. According to one version, he did not want to be defeated by Arnold Schwarzenegger in this picture, and according to another version, the actor flatly refused to play the role of a slow-moving robot and cover his face with a mask for the entire film. After leaving this film, the role of the monster was excellently played by Kevin Peter Hall. The aspiring actor did not regret anything and firmly believed that he could become a famous and popular actor once he succeeds. The first fame comes to him after performing one of the main roles of the famous film 1988 Bloodsport of the Year. He gradually reveals his talent in such films as Kickboxer, Cyborg, AWOL, Double Blow, and the films Universal Soldier, Difficult Target, Nowhere to Run and Time Patrol brought the young actor worldwide fame and love of millions of fans around the world. Despite the fact that he has been living in America for many years, he could not get rid of the French accent, so his characters in films always had French origin and surnames: Devereux, Boudreau, Dubois, Gaultier, Savage, Lefebvre. 3 times in a row in 1992, 1993, and 1994 years nominated for the MTV Movie Awards in the category Most Desirable Man. With the advent of fame, the young actor begins a black streak in his personal and creative life. It all started with the fact that due to a whirlwind romance with beauty winner Darcy LaPierre, Van Damme has to end his cancer with his wife Gladys in 1993. Gladys loved him so much and did not make the divorce process a sensation, and did not demand any alimony from the famous actor. A year later, Jean-Claude marries for the 4th time to Miss LaPierre, who eventually gave him a son, Nicolas. But this marriage will not last long and will end with the arrival of alcohol and drugs in their family. Due to the fact that from the middle 1990s the 1990s, the action movie genre began to lose its popularity, Jean-Claude's acting career gradually declined and he was no longer invited to shoot. The actor often quarrels with producers, conflicts with law enforcement officials, and begins to drink and use drugs. Unable to withstand such a life, his 4th wife leaves him with a small child in her arms. During this difficult time for Jean-Claude, his ex-wife Gladys comes to his aid. With her help, he finds the strength and goes to the hospital for rehabilitation for drug addicts. After a short time, he was able to get rid of bad habits, but seriously undermined his health, as he suffered a heart attack. He was determined to stop using drugs in his life and set an example for his growing children. Soon, he and Gladys again formalized their relationship through marriage and secured them with a wedding in the actor's homeland. In 1999 this year, Jean-Claude was able to return to the big world of the film industry and began to actively act in films. But, the paintings with his participation Legionnaire, Replicant, Awakening of Death did not bring the expected success. In parallel with his acting career, Van Damme is developing a career as a producer, director, and screenwriter. He also takes an active part in the upbringing of children in common with Gladys and instills in them a love of acting. He often takes them to the set and gives them the opportunity to act with him in their films. As you grow up, Christopher Van Warrenburg and Bianca Brie they fell in love with cinema, and are now full-fledged actors and producers themselves. In 2010 this year, Jean-Claude arrives in Kiev under the pretext of actively working on the film Tower, which he wanted to shoot as a director in Ukraine. So he took lessons from local directors. According to other unconfirmed information, the actor came to Ukraine for the sake of his next beloved Anna Kavarina, who often accompanies him with 2009 years in almost all trips. But Jean-Claude's latest whirlwind romance couldn't overshadow his love for his wife. He often says in interviews that Gladys is the only great love in his life. After several years of lull, Van Damme starred in the films J.K.V.D., The Expendables 2, Universal Soldier 3, Universal Soldier 4, and also voices Master Croc in the animated series Kung Fu Panda 2 and Kung Fu Panda 3. Throughout his career, Jean-Claude has starred in more than 50 movies. Faced with many difficulties and trials, he did not break down, but on the contrary continues to actively act in films to this day, and is engaged in producing and directing, writing scripts. This shows that he has great willpower, perseverance, the desire to achieve the goals achieved, and a fighting spirit. In his interviews, Jean-Claude often talks about how he and Vladimir Putin are good and long-standing friends. They meet from time to time, and the former athlete helps the politician master karate, and Vladimir Vladimirovich, in turn, tells the actor the story of the emergence of Russia.